It's meow time for KittenouSbeast gaming videos for cats and their people. KatzeLande Prime, episode 28. So we are kind of in an interesting and exciting place in the game. We've just sort of made some key updates to the base, I'd say, along with getting sort of ready for Radbolt production. So I think today we'll be able to probably build a Radbolt setup and possibly even get it up and running. I don't think we'll be able to get to doing some research with Radbolts right away, but I think we're certainly going to be able to uh, start generating them and talk about that process. So one of the key things I'm going to need to do in order to accommodate this Radbolt update or upgrade, I should say, is get a heavy watt wire extension further up into my base with the plan to be that I can power the Radbolt generators directly off of the generator side of the power network. This will avoid having to have multiple circuits, and I'll be able to scale it up pretty high if I needed to really generate lots of Radbolts for any reason. So I'm going to do that upgrade now as a future-proofing step. Uh, I'm going to also take this advantage to go ahead and upgrade the wiring here so it's out of sight. So I'll do that while I'm here. The intention here is to do the wire network in a more obscured fashion for an improvement to morale, although it's not a huge improvement. It's just, it's the smart thing to do. And then we'll just cut out these connectors here. And at this juncture, I'll go ahead and just put in the bridge so that the heavy watt wire can pass freely underneath this bridge. All right, great. Looking to the challenges of getting that power network up here, I'm going to kind of plan ahead. I think that's the smartest thing to do. So I am going to kind of track where that heavy watt wire is going to go and avoid any obstacles that may be an issue along that track, so to speak. So I'm going to need a connector into this area here. So I'm going to go ahead and create the heavy watt joint plate here. And I may have a series of these plates ascending up towards the top. So I'm going to plan this out so that the plate is in the most ideal location for me. This whole structure here is sort of an outdated piece. I mean, you see the pressure, this is all open space now. So there's really no reason for me to maintain this mechanized airlock and this piece here, so I'm going to eliminate it. Just switching to buildings to avoid, destroying any pipes or anything like that. I want that stuff to be there. So, yeah. And I'm kind of tracking my, main passage tunnel, and we're right outside of it. So this is a pretty good line, I think, straight up to the top. So we'll continue to track this wire up. And I can see I'm going to need a plate there. So I'll put that heavy watt wire plate in position. I'll need another one here. So I'll have to delete this tile first and build it. I do have little concerns. I may have to remove this grooming station and reposition things to build a ladder up. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. We do have some tiles to spare, so I'm not concerned about, breaking these two coal tiles here. That should be totally fine. And in fact, you notice this grooming, this whole setup is actually a little too close to my main tunnel, which is something that I should adjust and actually I will go ahead and do that now. There's some hydrogen buildup here. Um, so if I cut off or change the boundary of the uh, grooming station, this grooming zone, there's ranch, I guess that's what it's called, a ranch, that should help. You'll notice I'm not growing mealwood anymore, so these guys are going to they're going to start to get hungry and might even starve. So I do have to hopefully remedy that issue. Part of the reason why it's not cooling anymore is because it's at that high temperature and I can't move more water through the system because this part of my system is backed up. But with this pump running, it's not running right now, but I can run it. I have to kind of think, what am I looking at in terms of cooling? And, I should turn this back on, basically. This will allow these two water sieves to run, which will give us fresh water, which will be cooled. So this must have been something that I overlooked. I must have forgotten to turn that pump on. So we fixed that little issue, and that water will get cooled, and so it'll drain this tank down, which is what we want. We want this tank to get filled with this water so that this cooling system will work. So we're on track here. So I might move the grooming station along with the wall over here. Oh, I might even like reposition some of these elements here. For instance, if I'm thinking about the temperature, um, maybe I should just move the whole farm. Honestly, it's just in a bad spot. I have to cool it and all this stuff. So that's actually a pretty good idea. This should really be just moved. I'll have to move the hydrogen or produce more hydrogen somehow. So with that in mind, let me reconsider the location of this area. Oh, look at that. We're getting hot down here. Got a little bit of heat here. Look at this, nice and stable at 30 degrees. Not so shabby. I wonder how we're doing on coolant. So our coolant strategy is working pretty well. I mean, this coolant in here is at 30 degrees. And when it reaches over 35, it gets jettisoned. So these are at a pretty nice temperature, a stable temperature. The temperature they're supposed to be at is around 40 degrees. This generator here is also fairly cool, so this is working well, but I will have to solve the problem of this heat here. What do I do about this 51 degrees or whatever of water? Uh, it's really not quite hot enough. I would start to get concerned if this was at 70 degrees or hotter. So if it gets to that 70-degree mark, then it's like, okay, we have to do something about this. So, um, just taking a look around over here. I mean, this is all cold. Too cold for mealwood. I do have this area here, which would be a great temperature, but I also have a lot of other things going on. This is my carbon sink here. I wouldn't want to build a hydrogen capture spot, I think, in here. But maybe I could work something out. Like maybe down here or something. Could have a little tunnel, and then here's all the hydrogen. Um, with the mealwood all in here. Get another oxyfern into my carbon sink system. Some more arbor acorns. So this has potential down here, I think, to be a good place for me to deal with this issue of where am I going to do this plastic Drecko ranching. And it's, closer to the base a little bit, so I think I'm going to go that route. I'm going to eventually turn this into a Drecko farm, maybe even a couple of Drecko farms on top of each other or something, and then have just that's where I'm going to produce my early game plastic here. There's no telling how long it'll take me to get down there to get oil, believe it or not. So, you know, I got to give it a shot over here. So, hmm, I can finally sort of do what I was always sort of interested in doing. We can open this up, build a tunnel down, and have access. Okay. I think I sort of have a sense of what I'd like to accomplish over here, so I'm going to be putting regular tiles here and here to contain that water. Uh, and again, I could move these boundaries as needed, but I want to kind of contain the water to this space right here for now. Here comes some cool down water. So again, let's talk about the temperature of this water just as an observation. So this water here from my cooling system over here, which I can now safely dismantle, um, was being used to cool down some water significantly. Using this colder water source over here and getting it to increase in temperature, like not too much, just a decent amount, I could easily turn this system and work it on this steam vent to to allow this water source to become active. So, I'm going to go ahead and dismantle this, but I'm going to rebuild this system probably in here. If this thing is dormant, although it's very, very hot in here, I could like slowly let the temperature out, and then that would allow me to get access in here and deal with some setup for cooling down this steam vent. Um, but I do want to stay focused on the task at hand. So there's a couple of things going to happen. First, I'm going to build the new Drecko farm, and then we'll get back to that other thing. But we also want to continue to focus on building out in space. So I'm feeling kind of torn about my goals right now in this episode. So, we'll see if I can make some good decisions here. All right, so hopefully we'll get to work here and some of these projects will get worked on. Okay, so we got our wall free here. And I was thinking about adding an additional row of gas tanks here, but I think now that I'm kind of planning on turning this into an access area for more stuff, I think I'll just leave this sort of industrialist piece as small as possible. Yeah, put that there. Okay, and we will carve in a little bit. And again, I do want them to take care of this sooner, so I'll get those taken care of. Building my, sort of downward track into this part of the asteroid. We're off over here, and again, this is the central column, but we need some compartments off to the side for temperature reasons. So it makes sense to have like a side access piece available. Finishing these walls will help just with making sure that I can have access in with pipes or power or whatever I need. So, and I kind of want this to be walled off from the access here. I want this to be a compartment that doesn't have very much CO2 in it. The bigger the compartment is, the more it'll eventually get in there. So I am going to be putting in a pressure door here to protect against that issue. You can kind of see how the wiring now no longer really matches very well, right? So I might redraw my wires from over here rather than over here. And that'll save me on material cost and give me access into the power that needs to be down here. So again, we may do a little bit of revision of systems here while we do this little project. And I do want there to be airflow, so I'm going to kind of copy the design I had over here with 3 tiles in those locations, and then perhaps 2 tiles and an airflow. Great. Okay. All right. So we're working away at this project to relocate our dear little buddies, those Dreckos, to a land where they will have plenty to eat. Now, this room, this chamber here, is 76 tiles. So that's a good start to a ranch. Needs to be a little bit bigger than that. So with 76 tiles, if I take out these 9, that'd give us up to 85. And then, so we're 85, 10 more, and we're at 96, which is, or 95, which is very close to the limit. So just carving into this chamber a little bit is going to give us about the right size room for our Drecko farm. So it's probably better for there to be more surface on the top of the room than on the bottom. So I think this will maybe work good for holding the hydrogen gas that we need for this to work well. Um, so I'm going to probably plan for the room to be about 3 tiles in height. So these 3 tiles would be the hydrogen gas, and then we would have a pneumatic door here so that we have our plants and our machines down here, and then the hydrogen gas is up there. I think that's probably how it's got to be. Unknown mutation. Interesting. So some kind of interesting effect happened. And how did that happen? Because of the radiation from this shine bug. Yeah, these guys do emit a little bit of radiation. So it's interesting that a mutation occurred. I have no idea what that would do or if it would be worthwhile investigating. Not sure at all. So this little pip is off the beaten trail, and I don't know what to do with it. Oh, speaking of pips, how are we doing over here? We're doing great. Okay, next one. When you like, I haven't played in a few days, so When you have walked away for a while, you sometimes forget about what you had going on. So I'll go ahead and wrangle him. He'll get put into this chamber here where he can help with this reed farm that I'm working on. You'll notice here, there's those symbol reeds, getting all that stuff for free. So as these grow, I'll go and harvest. It'll give me free practice on my farming skills for my dupes while they harvest these crops that just kind of grow themselves, don't cost anything. It's beautiful. You can kind of see the automation system at work here. So these produce polluted dirt. I move it up over here. It either gets dropped in this little pond where it can't outgas, or stored in the box, or delivered into this system to make additional oxygen for the dupes. So this is all just, it takes care of itself over here. Meanwhile over here, look at this. We got nice cool water flowing in here from that cooler we set up. Remember this over here? Yeah. So checking temperatures, you notice the liquid is not too hot. It's getting there. And it's very germy. As soon as it hits around 70 degrees, it'll be completely clean. And I'll be able to turn it into cool water. Or not cool water, more likely cool oxygen. But we'll get to that when we get to that. All right. Um, One thing that I'd like to eventually do is automate this farm. I've already started it, right? These auto sweepers pull the dirt and do the errand for the dupes. So I'm going to continue that over here as we add more oxyferns into the system. Yeah, we got plenty of gas in the system, and this is charging up the room. I wish we could have this charge up a much bigger space and get it to 5 kilograms, but that would also make a lot more heat. And even though I am controlling the heat very, very well, actually, with this system right here, keeping the air around 36 degrees versus the 150 degrees that the gas actually comes out at, using the polluted water to do that, right? So it's all working very, very well. This system is working. We've got, free power from plug slugs every cycle. We get 50 kilojoules, which is not a whole lot compared to what my petroleum and natural gas generator are doing right now. But previously, that was plenty of power to run my base. Now, what has changed? Well, it's me running this thing nonstop. I've been running this machine at 1200 watts this whole time, and it's cooling down that water for us, right? Getting it that nice 13-degree temperature down here. Beautiful. Help keep the base nice and cool, and all these oxyferns nice and cool. Very nice, right? Fabulous. Here's the issue. It uses a lot of power. So I'm thankful we have all this cooled down so it's not generating heat. We are well prepared for this sudden surge in power demand. We've got gas tank pretty full. So we can work on cooling down this water. And guess what? This reservoir is actually get pretty full. So as soon as we maybe hit this third tile here, I might say, hey, you know what? We're done cooling water. We don't need it anymore. We'll go ahead and turn the system off. Turn this pump off. Stop purifying that water. Great. Let's do that. So we'll keep an eye on it. And in fact, I could actually I will actually automate that now, so I don't have to keep an eye on it. How about that? Um, we'll put a little hydro sensor here with a little automation wire. And when the dupes put that in, we will be able to properly manage our system. Now look at the wire we're going to get back by doing that junction here. I mean, That's a load of wire that we just recovered. So sometimes when you do these changes, you could get way more efficient structures put in place. So like, look, this is how many tiles? Like 16, 16, 19, about 20 tiles maybe. This one's only 19, right? But we did 20 and then 15. So we get a benefit from doing it this way. So that's fine. Great. We're going to put a little bit of priority here for these tasks. Now look here, we've got this gas pump here to get this carbon dioxide out when it gets a little too much. Let's go ahead and turn that on. I notice the air quality is getting kind of low here. So we'll pull this carbon dioxide out. And we'll maybe even pull a vent down from our network here. So unfortunately, it's a little bit of a clutter here. So I may even have to go down this way with my gas vent. Have it come this way. That's fine. I can have a little bit of a ventilation bypass here. So it goes in here. We'll just draw it off. Go just straight down this way. And I think I may put the vent down here. So I'll push it down just a little bit further. And then I'll do this little vent off. And then an automation sensor for gas pressure. All right, time to switch priorities just for a touch. Let's get this project on the high track. This will help with the air. If I get the air fixed up, that'll really help get the dupes happy down here while they're working. And, the happiness for the dupes is the key at times. So let's see if it's below 1500. So we're mostly getting carbon dioxide out. That carbon dioxide is immediately being turned into a liquid by our carbon skimmer system. That's great. Get rid of that carbon dioxide if we can. You'll notice some of the carbon dioxide has leached down here, no biggie. This can sort of act as a sink. I might even rebuild the vents over here to catch whatever carbon drops. But as we tunnel down, we're going to have to keep moving this carbon dioxide pump out. So have not been able to finish the build because of those two tiles. All right. Checking on what else we got going on. So we're getting closer. We got to dig in here and mine out all these plants. Sorry, plants. All right, so what I'll do is if the pressure is above, say, 500 here, it'll send a 500. There we go. So if it's above 500, it sends a green signal. So now what I want is I want it to send a green signal if it's below. That way it'll get to 500 and it'll close the vent. That's the plan. and that's like half of the tile. Each of these tiles can hold about 1,000 kilograms of water. So once this pressure sensor gets to 500, it'll close the vent and it'll stop this from overfilling. So I'm automating that. And that way, I can have this system be fully charged, let this keep running, and it'll always make sure that this cool water system has cool water in it. I've now automated that. So uh, I don't have to worry about managing it myself. My dupes don't really have to do anything to manage it. It'll just take care of itself. Great. Absolutely great. So let's check our gases here. So, here we go. Our oxygen is pushing all the other gases away, making it a little bit easier. I'm going to have to get rid of this gas pump now. I want to get rid of that fast. I don't want it to keep running. Now, this is always going to be kind of the challenge, right? So you're building out in space and the guys need to run back and forth through to get there. That's going to waste loads of time. So one thing that I like to do is put some storage chests that a regular dupe could fill up here. So I might put a storage bin for their igneous rock is out here, mafic rock is out here, but I do use granite sometimes. So I might put some granite here just so that if there's any granite, and I'll try to avoid using granite, obviously, if there's no granite out here, but I'll put it here just in case I do, and then they'll still be able to build it without it being a huge pain in the butt. But the dupes really have not come up that high as of late. All right, so I'm going to stop this cooling system now that I've decided that I need to relocate my glossy Dreckos. So I'll go ahead and send green signal if below 0. So this will never let any more water through, most likely, because they'll never be below 0. They're always going to be above 0. Um, so I've effectively stopped the system from running. The other way that I'm going to, sort of terminate this loop is I can take these bridges out, and that'll allow me to fully deconstruct the system without having to really fight too hard with it. I'll be able to send some plumbers in here. They'll just drain all the polluted water out. The polluted water will get pumped into this system over here, right? So no worries, everything's fine. Check our printables. Oh, look at that, 500 kilograms of plastic. Very, very nice. What a nice care package. I'll go with the plastic. That actually is kind of fun. I could turn some of these rooms into single rooms now fairly easily. And in fact, maybe what I'll do is I'll build some suites up across the top with this surge of plastic that I just got. um, we'll see. You'll notice the pressure here has forced, there's now sort of a little corner over here with some carbon dioxide in it. Um, and this is now carbon dioxide down here. So this will eventually concentrate and start to float up again. But we've sort of handled it with the pressure here for now. Um, and I may just build like a vent and throw that, or a gas pump and throw that stuff back up over here so it gets destroyed properly, hopefully. So, yeah. Yeah, I may want to put a pressure door here to keep this chamber from back flooding out. I think I did that to initially handle the natural gas problem that I had, but I can fix that now. Hopefully that hasn't been costing me too much in terms of efficiency. All right, so we've cleaned this little space up. Um, Next thing to do is to eliminate this shine bug. All right, so here's the plan. We need a way to get gas in here. So we're going to need to have a little gas vent here. So I'll cut in through there and put a gas vent right here. We'll do a ladder on that first tile so we can kind of get up there. Great. And then the rest of it's going to be the farm pieces. So checking my number of tiles, we're at 77. And we're probably going to fill up some of these with some farming tiles. So like before, we need some stations. So we need the grooming station, and maybe I'll even put that up a level. Need a grooming station. We're going to need a lamp. And then we're going to need the shearing station. Where is that? There it is. Okay. Notice I put the lamp between these. I want this to be a high efficiency operation. So there we go. Those are all the things I basically need. I do need one more tile for the drop-off point. And then I need the rest of the parts to be farm tiles. So let's get those farm tiles in place. So I do want to have plenty of food for my little buddies. This makes so much more sense to do this farm here. So I'm very excited that this is kind of coming together pretty quick. It's going to solve that problem that I've been having with the issue of the heat. You know, I'm solving that heat problem, which is kind of a sort of a foolish problem to have, to be honest with you, right? So we're dealing with that problem head on and fixing it the right way, and we're going to make this little piece in our base very, very nice, I think. Should get, yeah, that should get the operator. Okay, we'll make sure it will. Great. Put this here. All right, it's going down. We're making some good headway here. So these are all going to be mealwood seeds. Great. Little hard-working fellow there, getting some important chores done for us. All right, so that's handled. Checking my gas tanks. Looks like we're okay. All right, heading up. They haven't built this yet. I'll need to put those as high priorities if I want to see action up there. All right, and we do need to solve some of these other lingering problems. So there's this pocket of polluted oxygen. It's pretty high pressure. Um, in order to deal with it, I do need some capacity for deodorizers, but I don't have very much capacity right here. So, oh, and these are all not wired up yet. It's kind of letting that oxygen get unpleasant. Get some heavy wire going up. Another big jump in height for our power network. Nice leg there, and there'll be another leg soon to come. Revisiting this project after a little bit of work has been done. And again, I don't want this to be a ladder that the dupes use. So these interruptions straight on with the heavy watt are perfect. There's a massive penalty when they're near this wire. So having it be separate from my actual up and down tunnel for most of my project is going to be great. Yeah, let's build up some capacity with deodorizers. I'm just going to try and do my best to handle this when I crack it. So I'm going full on here. Hopefully this setup will allow me to crack this and keep my power line heading up with little difficulty, and it'll give us a bunch of gold. So that's a plus. And again, you can kind of see, okay, so there's an obstacle here. And so I may want to gonna have to figure this one out because putting in a heavy watt junction on this plate here is not going to be a good idea. It's going to cause a water leak. So, how am I going to get my wire up through here? And I do have some capacity to kind of wiggle left to right, but I wonder if you can just build one between tiles. Let's just check that. So if I put a heavy watt, can I build one there? Won't let me build one there. So let's check this. Nope. So I can't put one of my tiles here and build it in such a way that the water will not break. So I have to get a little creative with this one. You know, this pond is not going to be here forever. So it might even be a matter of me building across to bump this over. That would work. So I might try that. And this is just for bleach stone. There's none in here. So I can get rid of that. And we'll do it that way. You'll see what I'm talking about. I'm going to build tiles to push the water this way so that I can build my uh, joint plate without being disrupted by this pool. It's like the best solution, I think, for this annoying situation. So by building those tiles there, I can proceed with my straight line up because I've pushed the boundary of the reservoir over by one tile. And in fact, I think I may have actually done this before. Like, I think the boundary was initially here, but I bumped it over there because there was lots of water here, so I needed a bigger tank. Yeah, it's kind of funny how you go back and forth as you're building things. Let's check down here. Okay, so this whole thing is nearly set up. I just need to get some hydrogen in here so that they regrow their scales. And, you know, we've got mealwood growing, and the temperature is beautiful. These mealwood are going to grow. I don't. It's not going to cost me any energy to grow them. Like, this was crazy up here. And in fact, this is a huge mistake. I should not have built this farm here. That was very, very dumb. It wasted some energy, but I think I made the most of it. But obviously, it would have just been smarter to start the farm someplace else that had the correct temperature versus trying to build a farm in here by modifying the temperature. And I mean, my modification was smart. I mean, it worked, but it's just not a good long-term solution to this. So this is just a much smarter move to make to put this stuff here. All right, so we are going to need power in here. So let's go ahead and build out the floor. And what we may need to do is put probably 3 airflows here. That's probably what I need. Or if I'm going to put the farms on top of each other, I would not want that. I just want airflow at the edge. So I'll do that instead. Because I think I might put another Drecko ranch right below here. We'll see. I guess that's kind of aggressive. And maybe I could even do an insulated tile here instead. Start to protect the temperature there. Do we have any more oxyfern seeds? Nope. Darn. I will put my glossy Dreckos in here and my glossy Drecklets at a priority of 9. And we will move our Dreckos out of here. I think one of them might have not. Oh no, they're both there. Great, we'll wrangle those little fellas. We're getting close to my scheme here. So I've been thinking about these plug slugs and how much I love them. They're giving me this power for free. It's kind of expensive to have a plug slug situation where you're actually feeding them. And these are wild. So they just go, they're here, they're wild. They just go and make a little bit of power. No problem at all, right? Great. But what if I wanted to feed a plug slug? If I did that, it would make more power, and it would also excrete hydrogen. It would excrete 5% of what it consumes. So if it consumed, say, iron ore, 60 kilograms of iron ore, it would excrete 5% of that as hydrogen. 3 kilograms, actually, is 5% of that. So if I needed to produce hydrogen in limited quantities, I could use a plug slug to do it. And if I fed that plug slug, it would make eggs. And then I could raise those eggs up and keep plug slugs in these 2 little chambers, or build possibly more chambers, because these may sustain themselves. I don't think they do. They haven't been dropping eggs, I don't think. So, these will eventually, I think, fail. They'll eventually run out of plug slugs. Or maybe they'll be like less than full capacity. I'm not sure what'll happen. But in any event, we want to, do something about that. So if I build a little plug slug feeding chamber and I feed maybe like 1 or 2 of them, I could make some hydrogen gas and then harvest it with a pump and put it where I want. For instance, in this Drecko ranch, I could pump that hydrogen gas that I make. So I may try and do something like that eventually for this, but that's kind of it's a pretty ambitious project to set up. Plus the slug will make a load. Well, I guess I could put it right here. I guess I gotta kind of think this one through. I want to do that though. It'd be so helpful. Um, hmm. I could put it right here, but I want a heavy wire nearby. Maybe I could put it down here. There's a pump here already. It's got a pressure and oxygen, or I could hook up a atmospheric sensor on it. All right, but this is where my volcanoes are. I'm going to eventually build something to cool these volcanoes down. I don't want to build something that I'm going to have to tear down later. So okay, we've got heavy watt up here, but I do want to pump it down here. So it's like proximity is important too. I do have heavy watt wire here. This is fairly temperature controlled, plus the insulation. So I could build it just like over here someplace. And then that's kind of not so, it's not close at all to the nursery actually. Hmm. Maybe I could put something over here. Hmm. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting idea. There's a lot of gas here though that's annoying. Yeah, the temperature is definitely bleeding through here. I'm gonna have to insulate this stuff. This is pretty hot. This does need to be insulated. So I should get up in here and do some work. Hmm. Let's check out my other projects. So these guys are almost ready to go. Oh yeah. So there's still some gas in here that needs to be discharged out of this pump or out of this pipe. It's not that big of a deal, but I'm kind of impressed. Now, the colony is about to go into end another cycle, so I'm going to check my stats here, make sure everything is doing as it's supposed to. But I do want the petroleum generator to do a little bit less. So I may reconfigure that battery to kick on when it gets closer to 15. That way it'll lean more on the natural gas. I would like to prioritize my usage of natural gas over my ethanol reserves. And so with that, I need to now adjust my low threshold on my gas plant to maybe be like 30, just so that the power never dips low enough to trip my petroleum generator. And you'll notice I have this carbon dioxide reserve here that's filling up. Um, I do want to future-proof that. So if this reserve gets full, I still want this to run, this natural gas power plant to run. So um, I'm going to store around 450 kilograms of carbon dioxide in these tanks for general purpose use. That sounds interesting, doesn't it? Um, and I will take the rest and throw it back into this system over here. All right. So to make that little tweak, I now need to pull off of this. So when this gets full, the gas will then flow out the next opportunity. So we'll just reconnect the system right here. And in fact, I might even tweak it further just so it's even nicer. So like, see this? I could have a bridge here, or no, that's not. Just keep it simple. There you go. All right. So now, if these tanks ever fill completely, the gas will still just get jettisoned over here where it'll get processed by my carbon dioxide system. Great. Um, good, way to keep this power plant running if I'm not paying attention. It solves that problem for me. All right. So where else are we? Gotta finish these little bits and oh, you shouldn't be harvesting that. I gotta make sure I turn that off over here. There's a key, there's a shortcut key you can hit, but I can't remember what it is. I might even look it up, and if, might as well look it up. Oop. There we go. Okay. Or maybe they don't have one. There's like a toggle harvest. Maybe it's Y? Let me try that. Maybe it's worth it if it's going to be. Oh, interesting. I didn't realize. Oh, see, oh gosh, there's a tool for it? Fabulous. Oh my gosh. I had no idea that this was here. Oh, that's really convenient. It's just like, it kind of goes to show you that sometimes you play this game and you have no clue, none whatsoever, about some of the stuff they put in here. But this is like really helpful. Like if you're trying to change the harvest setting on a plant really quickly. Like I didn't realize this was in here, so that's kind of interesting, right? You learn something new every day, don't you? So hit the Y key if you're dealing with planting and like I've been tediously setting. Have you noticed that? I've been tediously setting these every single plant when I could have just gone into the overlay and just done it in bulk. Yeah. Yeah, and I've been playing this game for years. And in fact, these things come and need to be harvested so frequently. Sometimes it might even make sense to not have them be auto harvested. That way, like, they'll just eventually go dry and drop their their thing, and my guys won't even waste their time dealing with it. But I don't mind having my little fellows do the work. It's my like only sweep bin. How are we doing down here? Oh, finally we got some glossy Dreckos in here. So you notice this is 88 tiles, and when it gets to like 3 or 4 tiles of hydrogen, those guys are going to be on there for a little while. It's kind of good. So I might even eventually put a whole band across the top, and then they'll be stuck on that band. It'll cost more hydrogen, but there'll be like, I don't know, more surface area for them to climb on. Yeah. Now you kind of notice, right? Like there's more carbon dioxide over here than there is over here. So look at this area without carbon dioxide. I'm going to go ahead and uproot those, and I'm going to move them over. I'm going to cancel the build on this one. And I'm going to move those oxyferns. There's 4 of them right over here. And then that will probably help eliminate this unbalanced carbon dioxide situation if there's some over here. And yeah, having them spread out makes sense, right? It'll help process the carbon dioxide better. All right, that's good. Getting upgrades all over the place. Now we just need some electricity down here. And once we pump the hydrogen gas in, we'll be in business. You notice that they've started to get over here. So I got to be prepared with that granite box. What are you waiting for? Oh, so one of those darn little shovels is drilling around. Those little creatures are very, very troublesome, I think. All right, so we finally made it out to the surface. Meanwhile, we're trying to get a heavy watt wire up towards the top of the base, and we're struggling to make progress. It's hard work. We're getting there. We'll get there. We always do. There's the heavy watt wire. It's getting there. We'll just pop the seal on this. It'll allow this polluted oxygen to hit these very densely packed deodorizers, and hopefully not too much polluted oxygen will escape. They'll never grow their scales if they don't have that hydrogen gas. Let's check our reports. Got our plug slug generation, power in our natural gas. You'll notice power consumers here are the aqua tuner and the gas pumps. We are spending a little bit on refrigeration and liquid pumping. Those are the next costs. And yep, that being one of the realities, that's just what we have to deal with in terms of power consumption. Nothing jumping out at me. Some free mushrooms or oxylite. I might get the oxylite. I wonder if I have that stored someplace. not powered up yet. Gotta get to that Radbolt system. Hmm. So maybe we can build that right now, kind of at the end, talking about, we're doing this power extension and power that stuff up. So might as well just build it and be able to talk about it. So the Radbolt generators need to be, directed towards a source of radiation, and they'll start to generate Radbolts. So I'm just going to do this in the way that I think makes the most sense. So I'm going to do 3. And the 3 are going to be kind of like this. Okay. All right. Now those Radbolts are going to be directed into the materials research system. See this? All right. So once I get these built, I can turn them, and they all just need to shoot directly into this little hole here. Um, oh wow. So now I've got my materials thingy there, right? So I'm going to need a little walkway to it. And we are not going to be going walking through here, because if the Radbolt shoots while there's a dupe there, the dupe will probably get killed by the Radbolt. So we'll just stick it right there. And this is the plan for our Radbolt generator setup. It's not that exciting, but it is going to be very, very necessary to do some materials research on for some of this better technology that we need. So we'll hopefully get there. You'll notice it's made out of rock. It will generate a significant amount of heat, and there's no overheat on it. It'll melt when it gets to 14,000 degrees. So we'll have some time. If we need to cool these down, we can simply just release some gas right here. It'd probably cool the Radbolt generator down, and then get immediately dispersed out into space. So that's one way we can cool this whole stuff, all this down, right? Just immediately release whatever heat is generated directly into space. Great plan, if I do say so myself. So we're going to do it that way. Looks like the filtration is holding up to the demands, so that's good. Oh, I guess it's fine. It doesn't really matter that much. But, all right, so we are going to continue our power up and up. Oops. So that little piece needs to get deconstructed out of the way. Perfect. Keep our heavy watt wire headed up. And now remember, this location is supposed to be a hydrogen sink, and I need to move all this hydrogen back to where it belongs in the farm eventually. So we'll have to plan for that, and I will respect that hydrogen sink that I developed with a little bit of additional tiles here. And we'll keep our power line going that way. It's fun to think about how the base has changed and transformed over time as we've worked on so many different projects and encountered problems and got stuck, gotten jammed up on things. Finally drained out that polluted water. So we started with a conversation about this section of pipe, and now I'm finally getting back around to it to resolve the issue of, what's what. And look at this. We got a good amount of Drecko action going on here. This little Drecko farm, these Dreckos will live here happily for forever. These free pinch of peppermint plants feeding them, free eggs, more reed fiber than I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it all. I built this really big reed fiber farm right over here. So that's great. We're loaded on the reed fiber. No worries at all on that. Right, the vacuum of space. Yeah, we've made it out into space. It's wonderful out here. Um, Now, one thing I want you to notice or consider about radiation, right? It seems to pierce, and I'm not an expert at this part of the game. I haven't really even gotten very into the radiation or anything. I notice here how it like pierces into material and then eventually stops. So, initially I'm out here in outer space gathering radiation, and I'm eventually going to be able to probably produce Radbolts more efficiently without needing to use the vacuum of space to do it for me. Um, but I'm going to, just keep in mind that radiation pierces through material for a certain distance. So as I'm thinking about, oh, I'll build my research radiation reactor or whatever, I got to think like, okay, I better make sure there's loads of tiles to protect from that radiation source and the rest of the environment. So it's just something I'm thinking about as I'm looking at the environment and all that. Yep. And we're slowly but surely moving that heavy watt wire up. Oh, these guys are going to be so happy and so fat with all these mealwoods to eat. All right, time to start thinking about that hydrogen gas. How on earth am I going to get all the way from up over here down to where it needs to go? That's going to be a massive tunnel down, isn't it? It's tremendous. So, um, my thinking on this point is to possibly use an alternate form of transportation for my hydrogen gas that I collect here. So what I may wind up doing is just putting this hydrogen gas into a canister system. There is a way of uh, putting the gas into canisters. I don't think I've done the research for it yet, and I'm going to actually trigger that research now at the end of the episode here, because I'm going to ultimately need to move that gas in a way that doesn't require me to, go that route. So portable gases is what I'm going to be researching here, and I'm even going to get, um, all the way up to this system here for dealing with rocket ships. So I might as well just do those researches. Oh, I guess I don't have that. That doesn't even get me there. I got to do this one separate. So we'll do that, and I think we'll call it quits here. Um, again, disappointed with my episode title choice because we didn't actually get that far into Radbolts just yet. Um, certainly was working on the power extension setup though, So you can kind of see that this is quite a bit of power extension, and it's going to be totally worth it. Once we get up there, I mean, look, this thing uses 480 volts of power. So that's going to require its own circuit basically with two of them on it. If I get my heavy watt wire up here, not only am I going to be able to power these things, but when I start producing power out here in space, I'll be able to send it back into the generator system through the generator network line. So this is a long-term investment to do it this way. You might be like, why didn't you just build a couple circuits, send up like 2 or 3 separate light wires, or maybe even invest in a conductive wire? I'm like, okay, fair enough, but this is going to be a worthwhile investment. I'm sure it's going to pay off. Uh, so good to be working on it and making some progress too. Not as much progress as I would have liked, but there's not a whole lot we can do about that. I'm gonna put a little wire, little ladders here, just so I can get some of these chores taken care of. All right. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope your cat enjoyed the video, and we'll be seeing you.